get us started, so I'm going to call to order the meeting of the Twinsburg Board of Education. This is Wednesday, May 6, 2015. Mr. Welker, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Stuver?
Here.
Mrs. Kane Griswold?
She is out ill tonight.
Mrs. Davis?
Here.
Mrs. Turrow-Waldron?
Here.
Mr. Felber?
Here.
Now I'd like to ask everyone to please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have to say I love it when I hear the small voices out there kicking it off like that tonight, so thanks a lot. Well, good evening again, and thanks for attending. As per past reports, tonight I would like to provide an update regarding the state biennial budget and funding for public education. Back in February, legislation known as House Bill 64 was introduced in the State House, which represents the main operating budget for the state of Ohio for fiscal years 2016-2017. With the originally proposed bill, our district was expecting to see a reduction of funding of over $1 million. Then in mid-April, after a couple of months of debate in the House committees, a substitute bill was proposed in the House Finance Committee, and that particular version was even worse for our district. Twinsburg was scheduled with that substitute bill to see a reduction of over $1.4 million during the next 2 years. Active contact with legislators across the state saw a flurry of proposed amendments while the bill was still in committee. And a week later, the result was an amended House bill that was eventually passed by the House, which contains a hold harmless provision. This hold harmless provision is designed to ensure that school districts will not receive less than the previous 2015 funding levels with regard to the TPP reimbursement. As a reminder, a significant source of revenue to school districts had been the Tangible Personal Property Tax, or TPP. And back in 2006, this TPP tax revenue was worth approximately $9.8 million to the Twinsburg School District, or approximately 25% of our budget. However, in 2006, House Bill 66 took effect, which called for the elimination of that TPP tax and replaced it with a state-controlled tax known as the Commercial Activities Tax, or CAT tax. And although the state has provided some reimbursement for the lost TPP tax to school districts, the intention of this legislation has been to eventually eliminate all of the tax revenue that was originally derived from that TPP tax. Ultimately, what the state has done is replace the TPP tax with a CAT tax, and through this process has redirected funds away from the school districts and into the state's general fund. Because of House Bill 66, our district has lost approximately $3.6 million that had previously been generated by that TPP revenue. Expense control measures and the 2012 operational change plan, which included a new levy that was supported by voters of this district, were financial activities that were pursued as a response to these losses and stabilized the financial status of this district. However, if the state continues to phase out the TPP reimbursement, our district stands to lose the remaining $6 million. Now, back to the state budget and the hold harmless provision. While our lobbying efforts have been successful and the projected reductions to school districts have been removed, it's only temporary. The hold harmless provision that was passed by the House and is now being debated in the Senate is only going to be in effect, if it's approved, for the next 2 fiscal years of the state budget. Actually, under the hood, the hold harmless provision is in fact a TPP phase out that will still continue during the 2016-2017 fiscal years, and what will happen is districts across the state will experience what we're calling a financial cliff in 2018. So let me restate that. The TPP phase out has not been eliminated inside the state budget bill that's being debated in the Senate right now. And remember that that TPP reimbursement still represents approximately $6 million to this district. This means that the state's reimbursement for this $6 million within the state budget would still be phased out. But what the hold harmless provision does for 2 years only is it augments the TPP reimbursement with something called a supplemental TPP guarantee. And let me just simplify this. It's basically a reimbursement for the lost reimbursement. And since the supplemental TPP guarantee is only for this state budget, 2016 through 2017, unless something changes, the TPP phase-out would kick in during 2018 at a level that would include the dollars already phased out, and thus in 2018, we would see that financial cliff. So here's an example, just to put this in perspective, and the example that I'm giving has some numbers that are only used for example purposes. If a district were to experience a $1 million reduction during each year when the TPP phase-out occurs, that district would see a $1 million reduction in 2016, and then another $1 million on top of that in 2017, but the supplemental TPP guarantee would replace those dollars, and thus the district would be held harmless for those 2 years. However, in 2018, when the supplemental TPP guarantee would be gone, the TPP phase-out would pick up where it left off, and in 2018, that particular district would lose $3 million in 1 year, and thus the financial cliff. If this TPP phase-out issue is not resolved during the next 2 years before the next state budget is debated, many districts across this state, including ours, will be faced with very serious decisions that will include reductions in staff and programs that are offered. So there's a good news, bad news story here. The good news is we should be okay for the next couple of years, and our district has a healthy cash reserve that will help us extend our financial stability for a short time. However, we must continue our efforts with the state legislators to find a permanent solution before we experience that financial cliff in 2018. In addition to past meetings and correspondence, 2 weeks ago, Mrs. Powers, Mr. Felber, and myself, we attended a regional meeting along with several other districts, and we met with Representative Rogner, Representative Slaby, and Senator LaRose to discuss the proposed state budget and how it affects funding for education. I am pleased to say that our House Representative, Mrs. Rogner, has been very responsive to our concerns and sponsored one of the amendments that was placed in committee to address the TPP reimbursement. Senator LaRose has stated his support for the hold harmless provision. However, I believe that he would like to see a more permanent solution found through the state funding formula rather than continuing to extend this TPP reimbursement as it is related to that old 2005 House Bill 66. Quite frankly, I would be in favor of a more permanent solution via the funding formula, provided that districts that have been significantly affected by the loss of the TPP taxes are frozen at their current reimbursement levels via the funding formula. In other words, no further phase-out, period. On Monday, April 27th, I participated in a webinar offered by the OSBA for board members and administrators across the state. During this webinar, the latest information regarding the state budget bill was provided, and I was able to address the concern regarding the limitation of that hold harmless provision. The response, however, was simply to acknowledge and confirm what we already knew and reinforce that districts will need to remain focused on our lobbying efforts to resolve the TPP reimbursement issue even after the budget bill is passed and signed into law. At the last board meeting, I requested that all of you, the taxpayers of this community, reach out to our state representatives. This is still important. The financial impact of the state budget for our district is hanging in the balance, and it's vital that we voice our opinions and concerns to the appropriate legislators. As always, we will continue to report on this issue and keep the community informed as the state budget bill progresses through the Senate and is signed into law. Before I turn things over tonight to Mrs. Powers, I have a couple of staff notes. Last week, we were notified that the district is the recipient of the Ohio Bureau Workers' Compensation 2014 Safety and Hygiene Award, and therefore a special thank you to John Framartino. John is a member of our Treasurer's Department, and we're thanking him for his attention to detail and his diligent efforts in managing our workers' compensation documentation. So hats off and a shout out to John, nicely done. And this week is Staff Appreciation Week. Our staff, I believe this morning, was treated to You Are Tigerific cakes, which were served at each of the buildings by members of our central office administrative team. So a very special thank you to all of our staff who transport our children to and from school, to those who provide nutritious meals, those who fix and maintain our buildings to ensure that our wonderful teaching staff can educate the students in an environment that Mrs. Powers likes to refer to as warm, safe, and dry. And not to forget all of the other staff who assist the teachers or provide administrative support in the school buildings, and those who provide administrative support at our central office as well. We have a lot of very dedicated people in this district who care deeply about our students, and our district is an excellent school district because of the collective and collaborative efforts of everyone. So from the Board of Education, a very big thank you to all of the folks on our staff. And now we are once again reminded of why we are here as we recognize students for their achievements. And thus a very special welcome to the staff, students, and families from R.B. Chamberlain and Bissell Elementary School. I know that you're here tonight for some very special recognitions. So without further delay, I would like to turn the meeting over to Mrs. Powers for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Stuber. Good evening, Board of Education. Good evening, families and students. We're so happy that you're here tonight. And Board of Education, this is our last student celebration for the school year, because our next board meeting we're going to be celebrating our retiring staff members. So we're going to have an extra special celebration tonight because it's the last one of the school year, and we thank you for being here. It's always great fun to celebrate all of the wonderful things that our students are engaged in here in our school district. Thank you, Mr. Stuber, for again pulling the state budget back in front of us. It's so important that we keep that front and center. And as Mr. Stuber indicated, we continue to put information on our website regarding our advocacy efforts with our state legislators. I was reminded earlier today at the Twinsburg Rotary meeting that not only is TPP affecting our school district, but Twinsburg Public Library as well. And so Laura Leonard is continuing her advocacy efforts with the state legislators as well. This is a very important topic of conversation, and it's very important that we continue to keep this front and center with our state legislators, because it has an impact on our students here in the school district as well as at the public library. So anything that you can do to reach out to Senator LaRose now that the budget bill is in the Senate, we certainly do appreciate your efforts as well as the efforts of our staff who continue to do so as well. Board of Education, it is May, and I like to, in basketball, there's March Madness. Well, in school districts, there's definitely May Madness. And the reason I say that is if you look at our district calendar, every single night now between the beginning of May all the way through the first week in June, there is some reason to celebrate great things with our kids. So if you're interested in seeing what's up on any particular night, please visit our district website, or the printed calendar also has good information, but the website has the most up-to-date information, and there are so many reasons to celebrate wonderful Tigers. I hope you are able to attend many of the wonderful programs that we have here. As Mr. Stuber indicated, it is Staff Appreciation Week, and our staff is just the best. And so thank you for your support of our staff every day, and one of the best ways you can support them is to attend the programs that they're working so hard with our kids, and we do appreciate that. Just to let everyone know, yesterday night I attended a meeting over at the VFW Post, and maybe Mr. Felber can say a few things here at this point. We have a very special program that we're hosting in our school district over the upcoming July 4th holiday. And the school district is very proud, in fact, to be the host of the traveling wall tribute that the VFW Post is really hosting here in town for us. Mr. Stuber, could you just say a few words about the effort behind Mr. Felber, the effort behind the VFW and what's going to happen here at Twinsburg High School the weekend of July 4th?
Sure, Mrs. Powers. Thank you very much. This event is called The Cost of Freedom, and it honors veterans, police, fire, and first responders. It's been in the work and sponsored by the VFW Post here in Twinsburg for the last 2 years. Quite a bit of money and effort has gone into preparing for this event. Besides the traveling tribute, which is 360-foot Vietnam Wall replica, about 80% of the true size of the one in Washington. There's going to be countless other exhibits both inside the high school as well as on the grounds. It is a 24-hour, 4-day event starting July 2nd. So make your plans for the holiday weekend to stay right here. We're expecting as many as 10,000 to 15,000 folks. Since you gave me the microphone, I will say we are looking for lots of volunteers. There are many folks that may not be able to approach the wall. Some come at 2, 3, 4 in the morning. There will be clergy standing by 24/7. So it is quite an honor. This event does not happen simply. They allow it to only happen when another event is not within 100 miles. So it took 2 years to get it. 3 major sponsors helped kick it off: the city of Twinsburg, the Twinsburg Township, and the village of Reminderville kicked in initial funding. And then there's been, as you may have heard, countless fundraisings from now, I believe, 2 Freedom 5K runs and many, many other events. So truly going to be a bring your kids. It is not a festival. It's an honoring event. There'll be light refreshments, but it really is a time to reflect and to learn about our history. And there's many other fundraisers still available, I believe, some 10-foot flags that you can get with a plaque, and I'll simply wrap it up with twinsburgveterans.com.
It's 4 days.
Thank you, Mr.
4-day,
Felber.
24-hour event, yes.
So the event will be held on the front parking lot at Twinsburg High School. It's a really great venue because of the lighting up at the high school lot. And one of the things that I want to say is that our art teachers and our students are planning a special art exhibit, a patriotic art exhibit. And so in the commons at the high school will be an opportunity for our students to show their respect of the great things, the great effort and support of our veterans through their artwork. So please plan on joining us. Please plan on stopping by the art exhibit. And there's going to be just a wonderful celebration and a thanks to the veterans for the support of our country and of all of us. So we're delighted to be the hosts of that event, and Mr. Joe Jasny has been the driving force behind the VFW post, and everyone's working together. I've never seen such an effort before. City, township, the village, and everybody in between has just pulled together. So it's going to be a remarkable event, and we're just delighted to host it at Twinsburg High School. So moving ahead, talk about a collaborative effort, Board of Education. Last Friday night, we held something called the Circuit Interviews. You know that Mrs. Wursler, much to our sadness, is going to be retiring at the end of this school year, and we have to find the exact right fit for George D. Dodge Intermediate School. So on Friday evening, we had circuit interviews. We have 3 top final candidates, and they were put through quite an evening where they were interviewed by a group of parents, a group of students, a group of teachers, a group of classified staff members, and then the final interview was a group of administrators. Actually, the entire administrative team interviewed the candidates. We're finalizing our selection, and Board of Education, it is my intention that on May 20th you will have the recommendation for the next principal at George D. Dodge Intermediate School. The reason we do the circuit interviews is it's really important for me to see these individuals have rapport with each of those different groups. You can come into an interview and talk to the administrative team at the board office, but until you see people really talking and sharing ideas with the stakeholders that are George D. Dodge Intermediate School, you really haven't done your homework. So we think we are whittling down the final candidates, and we'll have a recommendation for you on the 20th. Congratulations to Twinsburg High School's Tiger Concert Band. On Friday night, while we were interviewing, our students were over at North Royalton High School, and they were competing in the OMEA state competition. This is similar to an athletic team going to the OHSAA state championships. And I'm delighted and so very proud of our concert band because they have earned a superior rating of 1, which is the highest mark you can have as a high school concert band. So congratulations to our director, Ryan Bonnetts, and to some great high school musicians. We are delighted and so very proud of every one of them, and thank the Twinsburg Band Boosters for their ongoing support of our music program at the high school. Also, thanks to Mark Bindus and our wellness committee, we had a great Tiger Fit Fun Run on April 25th. We had a lot of parents out. It was a bit chilly that morning. Didn't matter. Families came out, had a great time, and we appreciate everyone who donated a can of fruit to the Emergency Assistance Center. They're continuing our partnership with them for our Pause on Child Hunger program. And then finally, Board of Education and families, just a reminder, if you have an incoming kindergarten child and you have not registered your child for kindergarten for the 2015-16 school year, we're going to have another kindergarten screening day and registration, and that is on Thursday, June 4th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon. You can find the information on our website by clicking on the Wilcox Primary School page, and please call and register for an appointment. Again, that is Thursday, June 4th, from 9 till noon over at Wilcox Primary School. So enough about me and all this. I would like to ask Mr. Winter to come forward. He is going to be talking this evening with me about some great things at Samuel Bissell Elementary School. Good evening, Mr. Winter.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. We have lots to celebrate this evening.
Sure do.
Well, and I think Mrs. Davis is going to help us with some pins. So boys and girls, if your name is called this evening, it's really important that you show off, because this is your opportunity for your parents and for folks at home through our TV or cable channel. So when you come up here, be very careful, because there's a step to walk up. And I'd like you to please shake hands with Mrs. Davis, and she has a nice pin for you on behalf of our Board of Education. And of course, you want to shake hands with Mr. Winter, our assistant principal from Samuel Bissell Elementary School. And Mr. Welker will help you line up here in front of the table. Be careful on the step, and then we're going to ask all the boys and girls to stay up here until everyone is called, because I know your moms and dads and other family members would like to take a nice picture of you once everybody's called up to the front. Lots to celebrate this evening. So, from Samuel Bissell Elementary School, the Students of the Month program at this school recognizes outstanding student leadership at the 2nd and 3rd grade levels. The focus of this recognition program is on citizenship, academics, social, civic, volunteer, or other accomplishments that set these students apart from their peers. We would like to proudly acknowledge the positive accomplishments of the following students. So we're going to start with our 2nd grade children. First, from Mrs. Doyle's class, we have Samantha Anderson. I think I need to be corrected. I think this is Mrs. Ziska's class, and it says Mrs. Doyle. Who's your teacher, honey? Okay, Mrs. Ziska, my notes were wrong. I stand corrected. Thank you very much. Okay, and you just keep telling me if I don't have this right, okay? I need a proofreader, I think. All right, from Mrs. Conrad's class, I have Parmjot Athwal. Congratulations. Okay, next I have Jordan DeCorpo. Who's your teacher, honey? Okay, thank you. From Mrs. Springer's class, I have Gavin O'Keefe. From Mrs. Roweather's class, we have Andrew Searles. And from Mrs. Conrad's class, we have Muskane Tiwari. Moving on to our 3rd grade students, from Mrs. Engler's class, we have Julia Adamaski. From Mrs. Rinaldo's class, we have Caroline Boschelli. From Mrs. Cardiman's class, we have Tommy Getz. From Mrs. Rinaldo's class, we have Caroline Holman. From Mrs. Kinsella's class, we have Blake Johnson. From Mrs. Rinaldo's class, we have Ram Aryan Malampati. From Miss Kiliani's class, we have Lexi Raperto. Congratulations. And from Mrs. Rinaldo's class, we have Emma Wee. We are so proud of our Students of the Month from Samuel Bissell Elementary School. They look wonderful. Please join me in congratulating these outstanding students. Now, boys and girls, if you want to just hold your certificate right in front of you, like that, so it's facing out. And I know your moms and dads and family members would like to take a nice picture of the whole group, so if you could just stand there with your very best Bissell smiles on your face and say, Tigerific. There you go. One more round of applause for these outstanding students. All right, boys and girls, be careful when you're stepping down, but you might be seated right now. Mr. Winter?
Thanks, Chad. Appreciate the help. All right, so I just wanted to thank everyone for being here this evening. Thanks to the Samuel Bissell staff for coming out to support the kids, support our staff members of the month, which we'll talk about in just a moment. I can't believe it's already the middle of May. I'm going to sound like my dad when I say this, but I don't know where the time's going anymore. I feel like it was just yesterday that we were here in August welcoming new staff to the district. And here we are now at the end. So at Samuel Bissell Elementary School, we feel like we're ending the school year on a high note. Certainly, we've had a great year, and as Mrs. Power said, it really is May Madness. We have a lot of really special programming going on. We have a lot of special events going on. This week, we have COSI coming in for 2 days to do some experiments with the kids. We have Cleveland Clinic readers coming in. We are partnering with the Cleveland Clinic, and they have some doctors and nurses and other personnel coming in to read to our kids. And we also have a very special celebration planned for the end of May, which I don't know if you are aware of this or not, but Samuel Bissell Elementary School is turning 50 this year. It was built in 1964, and so it turns 50, and I think we all can agree it's 50 and fabulous for sure. And Mrs. Angler, who is with us this evening, and Mr. Eustace have really done a fantastic job. I'm not going to make you come on, Miss Angler, don't worry. Did such a fantastic job planning the celebration, inviting former staff members, principals to come in and share some of their stories, and also for our kids to learn about the history of Samuel Bissell and Samuel Bissell Elementary School. So it's going to be a great day. We're looking really forward. So I just wanted to thank Mrs. Angler and Mr. Eustace for their hard work planning this great event. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about our staff members of the month. So we're going to start with Mrs. Holliday. Ms. Holliday, can you come on up? Mrs. Holliday was nominated for Staff of the Month by two fellow second grade teachers, Mrs. Doyle and Mrs. Labus, and they wrote this: "We would like to nominate Kathy Holliday for Staff of the Month.
Mrs. Holliday goes above and beyond with both her students and staff members. She works very long days, both at school and at home. She develops personal relationships with all of her students. When one of her students missed the winter party, she went out of her way to deliver his party favor to his house. Mrs. Holliday plans thorough and thoughtful lessons, often using her own resources to purchase the supplies. Her classroom is a warm and inviting place for her students, for them to learn and to be safe. Mrs. Holliday is a quiet leader who will volunteer to do anything to help her colleagues. She will do anything asked of her, which will benefit the overall good of Samuel Bissell Elementary. Mrs. Holliday finalizes the lesson plans for our grade level planning team every week. She is a mentor teacher to another staff member, but offers her suggestions and support to others as well. Samuel Bissell as an elementary school is a better place because of Ms. Holliday's dedication to students and staff. Congratulations, Mrs. Holliday. Unless you wanted to say a few words. Our next staff of the month is Miss Debbie Gadsden. Miss Gadsden, come on up. Mrs. Gadsden was nominated for Staff of the Month by second grade teacher Miss Conrad. And she wrote, "I am nominating Deb as Staff of the Month because she is always positive and always has a positive attitude. She is very patient and caring. She is willing to share her ideas. I think she is a role model and an extraordinary teacher. And she is a team player. Thank you, Deb, for all that you do for Samuel Bissell Elementary School." Congratulations. And our final staff member of the month is Miss Karen Turk. Ms. Turk, come on up. Mrs. Turk is an instructional assistant at Samuel Bissell Elementary School, and she was nominated by second grade teacher Mrs. Iska, who wrote, "Karen Turk is a great team player. She was always willing to help a teacher out in any way. She is flexible and accommodating to schedule changes and teachers' needs. She is invested in helping the students and works hard to have them do their best. I appreciate all the support that she gives to classroom teachers and to all the students at Samuel Bissell Elementary School." Congratulations, Ms. Turk. The date of the birthday party, which I was talking about earlier, is set for May the 29th. It's an all-day event. Going to start, like I said, with a lot of great activities. Going to start out the day with kids learning about the history of Samuel Bissell and Samuel Bissell Elementary School. And it's going to conclude in the afternoon with a cowboy-themed dance party. So something surely you would not want to miss, but that is May the 29th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Winter. Always something great happening at Samuel Bissell Elementary School. Now I'd like to ask our principal from R.B. Chamberlain Middle School, Mr. Jim Reese, to please come forward, and Mrs. Davis with the pins, and Mr. Welker with the plaques. We have a lot of middle school students to celebrate this evening, and at R.B. Chamberlain Middle School, our students receiving the honor of Student of the Month are recognized for meeting all 6 of the criteria listed below. Each student has to meet all 6 in all of their classes as the grade level teams decide upon 2 boys and 2 girls to be selected each month from each grade level. So here are the criteria. Our Students of the Month show respect and consideration for others, show enthusiasm for academic and extracurricular activities, exert a positive influence on their classmates, exhibit leadership characteristics, exhibit patriotism and democratic principles, and show responsibility such as arriving to class on time and completing all their homework assignments on time. So the following students have been selected this month by their respective teaching teams at our middle school. So to begin with our 7th grade students, we have Matt Stauffer, and Amanda Delagram, Gillian McKenna. And Dylan Pendergrast. Thank you. Moving on to our 8th grade students, we have Tirth Patel. Nancy Hugh. Elena Patel. And finally, Brandon Kresak. Congratulations, Brandon. Please join me in congratulating these outstanding students of the month from R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. All right, guys, just like our Samuel Bissell buddies, if you can hold your plaques up front here forward, so your parents might want to take one more nice photo of the whole group. We're very proud of each and every one of you. Thank you for all that you do every day at R.B. Chamberlain Middle School. Congratulations. Mr. Reese, I know you're really proud of all of our kids, especially our students of the month. Would you share with our families a little bit of the exciting news that is happening at your middle school?
Well, May is an exciting time, and they say talk is cheap, and May is the time for our students to really show us what they're made of. Of course, in May is when we have our state testing, and I don't know how the results will come out, but I know the effort they put in was an extraordinary amount of diligence in those classrooms that are taking tests. It's also the time where our performing arts have been hunkered away doing their thing for months and months, and now it's time for them to emerge from the cocoon. And I think last week someone stole our students and replaced them with some Broadway actors in Once Upon a Mattress, because it was just an incredible show, extremely entertaining. Monday we had our band concert. Again, an incredible show. Our band and orchestra students competed this month. This is the month where they compete in their adjudicated events. They came home with almost 40 superior ratings from their solo and ensemble. And then later this week they're going to go and compete as a large group in the adjudicated event. So we're excited to see the results from that. It's time to show us what you're made out of. Next week we have our orchestra concert and our choir concert, and if you have time, make sure you catch those. The level of development from Dodge till 8th grade, it's unbelievable how much these kids improve. And we also had our Honor Corps, which honored our 8th graders who kept 3.5 grade point average or above. There were over 130 of those in the class, and right now they're busy doing their service projects. They just did one in conjunction with the library, and their second one is Tuesday from 2 to 7, and that's their blood drive. So if any of you donate blood, come to Chamberlain on Tuesday from 2 to 7, and our Honor Corps will be there to assist you in donating blood with the Red Cross. So we're very proud and excited about what our students have accomplished so far this month, and the activities that are yet to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. It's hard to believe Mr. Reese's first year as principal at RBC is just about coming to a close. It has been a great first year, and Jim, we appreciate all of your efforts at our middle school. Mr. Stuver, that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Powers. Before we move into the committee reports, I would like to thank everybody for coming. You're certainly welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you need to get home or you're heading out to enjoy the weather, now would be the time to depart. Thank you for coming. And as they are departing quietly, I would like to move on in the agenda to the committee reports. For my colleagues, is there anything that you have tonight to report?
I don't have anything.
Nothing? Rob, Kathy?
It's not
Just a few
really
highlights?
committee, yeah, not really committee reports, just, I do know that the football team is doing a fundraiser. They are spreading mulch throughout the community, so if that's something you're interested in, you can contact, it's called 3Z, and, or one of the football players, they should be able to get you that information. And also, we had a Rotary meeting today, and we had the opportunity to have Mark Bindus there from our school district, did an amazing presentation for our Rotary, and we're just very fortunate to have such a high-energy, passionate guy. He goes above and beyond for our kids, so kudos to Mark Bindus. And finally, our Interact Club, they were able to do a fundraiser, and they are going to be, in conjunction with the Rotary, donating 2 shelter boxes to Nepal, which we're very excited about that. So we just have some really neat things going on in our community I just wanted to make mention of.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, we'll move on then to the next agenda item. I do not have any blue cards, so we will not have any remonstrance this evening. Therefore, in the agenda, we are now to the treasurer's report under section G. There are 3 items for the board to take action on this evening. Without objection from my colleagues, I will read all 3 of these together. Consent agenda. Item G1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following meeting minutes. The regular meeting of April 15th, 2015, which was sent to the board under separate cover. Item G2, that the Board of Education accepts the following financial report for the month of February 2015, the Bank Reconciliation, General Fund Financial Summary Report, and the Financial Report by Fund. And the last item, G3, that the Board of Education accepts the check registers for the month of February 2015. The total including payroll is $4,030,534.75. Is there a motion for these 3 agenda items, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Felber, a second?
Second.
Oh, my left ear. We'll go a second with Ms. Turl Waldron. Is there any discussion on these 3 items? Roll call, please.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Stuver.
Yes. And those 3 items pass 4-0. Next is action items regarding personnel. This is agenda item H. Again, without objection, I will read all 3 of these together. Consent agenda. Item H1, that the Board of Education accepts the certificated licensed personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached Exhibit H1 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. H2, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts the classified personnel and/or contract recommendations detailed in the attached Exhibit H2 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. And H3, that the Board of Education accepts the supplemental contract recommendations detailed in the attached Exhibit H3 as per the dates, terms, and other applicable conditions specified pending satisfactory ORC background checks. Is there a motion for these 3 agenda items, please?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Davis, a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Felber. Any discussion on these 3 items? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Turl Waldron,
Yes.
Mr. Stuver.
Yes. And those 3 items pass 4-0. We're now to new business. This is agenda item I. We have a total of 14 items, and I will read all 14 together, consent agenda, if that's all right with my colleagues.
That's fine.
Item I-1, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education accepts a donation of $100 to the R.B. Chamberlain Middle School from the Twinsburg Police Association for classroom supplies per the attached Exhibit I-1. I-2, that the Board of Education accepts a donation of $100 to the George G. Dodge Intermediate School from the Twinsburg Police Association for classroom supplies as per attached Exhibit I-2. Item I-3, that the Board of Education accepts a donation of $100 to the Samuel Bissell Elementary School from the Twinsburg Police Association for classroom supplies per attached Exhibit I-3. Item I-4, that the Board of Education accepts a donation of $100 to the Twinsburg High School from the Twinsburg Police Association for classroom supplies as per the attached Exhibit I-4. Item I-5, that the Board of Education accepts a donation of $995 to the Twinsburg City School District from Dairy Queen in Twinsburg for Staff Appreciation Week, which is per the attached Exhibit I-5. Item I-6, that the Board of Education accepts a donation of 8 universal rolling organizer carts valued at $273.29 and a buddy bench valued at $671.60 to the Samuel Bissell Elementary School from the Samuel Bissell PTA as per attached Exhibit I-6. Item I-7, that the Board of Education approves a purchase service agreement day treatment program with Education Alternatives for the purpose of placing a child in the alternative educational setting on a short-term or long-term basis if necessary for the provision of a free appropriate public education. This student will attend for a period of 35 days at $125 per day for a total of $4,375. This is a general fund expense and was sent to the board under separate cover. Agenda item I-8. Resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves an Access Extended School Year Student Service Agreement, Summer 2015, for a Twinsburg High School student that attends re-education in Bedford at a cost of $4,350. This is a general fund expense and is sent to the board under separate cover. I-9. Resolved that the Board of Education directs the superintendent to approve on an as-needed basis an expulsion appeal hearing designee for the Board of Education for the 2014-2015 school year, that being Ernest L. Wilkerson, at an hourly rate of $150 plus mileage at 55 cents per mile. This is a general fund expense and is sent to the board under separate cover. Item I-10, the Board of Education approves a proposal for overnight extended student trip for the 8th grade students at R.B. Chamberlain Middle School to Washington, D.C., leaving on May 25th, 2016, and returning on May 27th, 2016. The cost of this trip is being paid in full by the students, and the request was sent to the board under separate cover. Item I-11, that the Board of Education approves the attached listing of items to be deleted from inventory from the Twinsburg High School and George G. Dodge Intermediate School. That's Exhibit I-11. I-12, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the student fee guidelines for the 2015 and 2016 school year per the attached Exhibit I-12. Item I-13, that the Board of Education approves a release from transportation for one student for the 2014-15 school year from the Twinsburg City School District to the Solon City School District. And finally, I-14, resolved that the Twinsburg Board of Education approves the following Board of Education Governing Board resolution authorizing the 2015-2016 membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Whereas the Board of Education or Governing Board and its administration desire for the schools with one or more grades at the 7 through 12 grade level under their jurisdiction to be voluntary members of the OHSAA. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education Governing Board that all schools listed, Twinsburg High School and the R.B. Chamberlain Middle School, do hereby voluntarily renew their membership in the OHSAA, and in doing so, the Constitution and bylaws of the OHSAA are hereby adopted by this board as and for its own minimum student athletic eligibility requirements. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the board does reserve the right to raise the student athletic eligibility standards as the board deems appropriate for the schools and students under its jurisdiction. Be it further resolved that the schools under this board's jurisdiction agree to conduct their athletic programs in accordance with the Constitution, bylaws, regulations, interpretations, and decisions of the OHSAA, and to cooperate fully and timely with the Commissioner's Office of the OHSAA in all matters related to interscholastic athletic programs of the schools. Furthermore, the schools under this board's jurisdiction shall be the primary enforcers of the OHSAA Constitution, bylaws, sports regulations, and the interpretations and rulings rendered by the Commissioner's Office. The administrative heads of these schools understand that failure to discharge the duty of primary enforcement may result in fines, removal from tournaments, and suspension from membership and/or other such penalties as prescribed by Bylaw 11. Is there a motion for these 14 agenda items, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Felber, a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. I'll just work my way backwards. 14 was a lot to say, but it's really just a resolution that renews our already existing membership in the OHSAA, the Ohio High School Athletic Association, which is where all of our student athletes participate in terms of the association with the state. 13, item I-13 is simply a arrangement where we have students that move or are required by us to be transported to schools outside of the school district. And in this case, I think we have a situation where a Twinsburg student is actually being dropped off in Solon, and then we have an arrangement for Solon to pick that student up and take them where they need to go. We reciprocate that when other nearby school districts have students that come to Twinsburg and so forth and so on. So,
Correct. That student is attending a private school.
Right.
Outside the district. And so we have this arrangement with Solon City Schools to transport that child to the private school.
right. I would like to jump ahead and just say thank you to all of the folks who did the donations. The Twinsburg Police Association donated $100 to all the different schools for supplies. So our thank you to the Twinsburg Police Association for their generosity, and also to the Dairy Queen for the cakes that I know that were out there today for our staff. I assume they were yummy.
Well, actually, it wasn't the cakes from today. That donation was the sundaes, the ice cream sundaes.
Okay.
Fabulous.
They're
Staff really enjoyed them.
And you
so.
brought some of those for us tonight, right?
Unfortunately, they've melted. No,
They've
just
melted.
kidding.
Sure they do.
All right. And thank you also to the Bissell PTA. So the PTA is always out there supporting our students, and that's awesome. Also, a highlight just that the student fee guidelines are item I-12. We did have a work session at our special meeting last week, where we went through the overall financial condition of the district back in the 2010-11 timeframe. Mrs. Powers reviewed the operational change plan from 2012, and then how that all tied together, that we came up with the student fees for both academic and for the pay to participate. And we had a very lively debate and discussion about that. But it is on the agenda tonight, and I think the one thing to note is that we did make a change this year. By law, it was required that students that are on free and reduced lunches were to receive free or reduced fees when it was regarding academics. With regard to pay to participate, there was not a requirement to do that, and when we first put the fees together, we did not have any sort of discount for students that were on free and reduced lunches. This particular fee schedule does provide a discount to those students who would represent students who might be more in need from a financial perspective. So if there are students out there that are interested in participating in extracurricular activities, whether that be something that's music related or a club or extracurricular athletic type things, if they qualify for free or reduced lunches, they will receive per the schedule a reduced fee with regard to what they have to pay for the pay to participate fee. So I'll stop there. There may be some other comments that my colleagues have.
Yeah, I have a quick comment. We had all these great, wonderful donations, and I just started recently hearing about a buddy bench.
Yes.
I saw a picture of it on the web, I think yesterday or the day before, and it looked like a really, really good idea.
Yes.
And
Actually, I saw a story, I think, on Fox 8 this past week. And so what a buddy bunch is an opportunity for kids to sit together during recess and have a conversation with a friend. And what we understand is by just giving kids an opportunity to sit and chat, great friendships are built, and those friendships can be lifelong and standing. And so we're very grateful to our PTAs. This evening you see the donation from Bissell. And we also know that Wilcox Primary School is doing the same. And so through Mr. Welker's office, he has vetted out the various kinds of benches to make sure the benches that we're providing our kids are safe and colorful and just are kid-friendly. And those will be installed at Wilcox and at Bissell in the next couple of weeks. We're very, very appreciative of our PTAs for supporting this initiative.
I think it's a great place for some of those shyer kids to maybe sit down and inviting other friends to come hang out with them and strike up some conversation. They're sometimes standing on their own at the playground. It's a good place for them to meet up with somebody.
Absolutely.
Thank you, PTA.
I did want to highlight also, I'm sure our current 8th graders are very excited about their Washington trip, but kudos to the administrators at RBC for paying attention and getting that far ahead, where the resolution that we're approving today is for 2016. And I know there's some changes to come, and they're working on making that a very worthwhile experience as always, but they're planning way far ahead, and that's good to see, and just kudos for them thinking ahead.
And, no, and I just wanted to thank the administration and the board. We did have a work session last week, and we had some very good conversation. We were able to really dig into some good topics about, the pay to participate, and I'm just happy that we're able to, at least offer some help with some kids that maybe would not have been able to do this without this. So I do want to thank our board and our administration for, having good open conversation last week. I think it's important that we're communicating at that level, and we spent a lot of time doing it, but it was very productive, and it was a good session. So I just wanted to thank everyone for that.
Mr. Stuver, I've prepared a couple of slides just to explain to our community the new change to the fee structure. Do you want me to
Yes, I think that would be
talk,
appropriate. Yes.
talk through this right now? Mrs. Farthing has put the slides up. So I just wanted to provide a little bit more information to our families about the new change coming to pay to participate fees for 2015 and 2016. Up on the screen, as Mr. Stuver has indicated, our academic fees, and by the way, they're not changing, academic fees are not changing for next year. This is the same rate of fee structure as the current school year. Preschool, the fee is $75 per child. Grades K through 8 is $80 per child, and grades 9 through 12 is $50 per child. And as Mr. Stuver indicated, by statute, students who are participating in the federal lunch program and receive free lunches have their fee waived for the academic fees. And those students who participate in the federal lunch program and who qualify for the reduced price lunches have their academic fees reduced by 1/2. The important thing for our families to remember is that when you are participating in this program and you are applying for participation and qualification for your child, you have to actually then sign a waiver for Mr. Bindus to release that information to us so that we can in turn release that information to our families. The information surrounding the federal free and reduced price lunch program is highly confidential, and unless a parent provides consent through the waiver, the only person that knows about the child's participation is Mr. Bindus, and he has the duty to protect that information and does a great job. I'm telling you, I can't get that information. Nobody can unless Mr. Bindus has the signed waiver from the families. And so families, just a reminder, if you are interested in that program, please also sign the waiver that allows Mr. Bindus to release that information to the administrative team. Now, the change here for pay to participate, and new for this year, will be that students who participate and qualify for the federal lunch program will get this following reduction. For the pay to participate fees, students' pay to participate fee is going to be reduced by 1/2 for a child who receives the free lunch or breakfast through the federal lunch program. And likewise, if the child is qualifying for the reduced price lunches or breakfast, their pay to participate fee is going to be reduced by 1/4 quarter. So again, a reminder that parents, please, if you're going to apply for your child's participation, I'm also respectfully asking you to sign the waiver so that Mr. Bindus can let us know, the administrators know, and so that we know what kind of pay to participate fees to charge your child or children. So here are some examples of how this will be applied. A child who is qualifying for the free lunch or breakfast program, say that child is going to participate on our swim team over at the high school, and the fee is $110 to participate. With their qualifying application for a free lunch, that price is reduced by 1/2, so their fee would be $55. Likewise, if a child is approved for the reduced price lunch programs through the federal lunch program, and say that child is going to participate on our high school bowling team, the fee is $100 usually. That fee is reduced by 1/4, and so therefore the child's fee would be $75. For the purposes of the beginning of the school year, parents know that we typically send out our applications for free and reduced lunches on the first weeks of school. And so it wouldn't be fair for us to pause on the reduction until the applications come in and are approved by Mr. Bindus. And there is quite a turnaround time there. He has a lot to do at the beginning of the year as far as qualifying children for free and reduced lunch. So For the fall sports season and for students who are participating in fall activities, for which a pay-to-participate fee is charged, we're going to be using the 2014-2015 qualifications for free and reduced lunch. So if your child is currently participating and has qualified for a free lunch or breakfast, the free lunch and breakfast program, those children already qualify for the either half reduced pay-to-participate fee or the quarter reduced for the reduced lunch or breakfast pay-to-participate fee. Again, you need to make sure that you have a waiver on file with Mr. Bendis, otherwise he cannot release that information to us. And so if you have a child or children participating and you would like them to qualify now for the reduced pay-to-participate fees for next school year, I respectfully ask that you contact Mr. Bendis for a waiver form so that he can can distribute that information to us so that we know which children to expect would qualify for the reduced pay-to-participate fees. Moving forward into next school year, though, I believe October 1st is the deadline or the date at which the new free and reduced lunch qualifiers kick in. So for the winter and spring sports for next year, you would have to have re-qualified for the federal lunch program in order to then qualify for the reduced priced pay-to-participate fees. And again, you would need to also have a waiver signed and turned into Mr. Bendis so that he can distribute that information to us so that we know what fee to expect from your child. So we will have this information on the website, Board of Education. We do appreciate your consideration of the fact that sometimes we have families who are struggling economically, and we know so because we have about 20% of our population that currently participates in the free and reduced lunch program. And so now with your approval this evening, we will be able to reduce the pay-to-participate fees by 50% or a quarter per tonight's recommendation. Any questions?
Maybe just a comment. The concepts of the pay-to-participate in the academic fees were first discussed in the Finance Committee. And the concept today, while the remainder of the fees are remaining relatively unchanged, we like the concept of the federal reduced program as a guideline because it is, in a sense, a third-party guideline that we already have established. We can look at numbers and spreadsheets, every which way and try to come up with different formulas, but this was a good starting point as a base formula to utilize moving forward. As a reminder, in the pay-to-participate, the fees for those activities, whether it be sports or music or what have you, is 25% of the actual cost for that particular activity. So these are further reductions on that 25%. So I still think we're offering a very good program. And while this is maybe a relatively minor change, it can impact many. And we'll know more as we get more data in our data-driven district that we are. So thank you for putting the final touches on that and for that information tonight.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowers.
You're welcome.
Any other comments this evening on these 14 agenda items? Roll call, please.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Turro Waldron,
Yes.
Mr. Stuver.
Yes. And those items pass 4-0. We're now to miscellaneous. Is there anything from my colleagues under miscellaneous tonight? I think we've covered everything. Administrative team, anything from you guys? No.
Maybe just one last shout out for the Cost of Freedom. Thank you very much for the schools. While it sounds like the schools haven't been that involved, they're actually tremendously involved in the site planning, from everything from the power to the use of the facilities, and asking maybe even some staff support during a holiday weekend where they may want to be with their families. So on behalf of the VFW, which I'm not a member, but I know a lot of hard work's gone into that, thank you for the schools and the administrative team.
You're welcome.
Mr. Welker for the amount of work that you've put into the site selection committee and so forth.
I just wanted to mention, Mr. Felber, thank you for that. Our Twinsburg Education Association will actually be sponsoring the Bob Hope tent, and they're going to have Bob Hope holiday tent on site. I understand that there's going to be recreation of a Vietnam village that will be built around the wall, and one end of that will have the Bob Hope tent, and in the Bob Hope tent, veterans and their families will be invited to create a Christmas ornament, or holiday ornament, I should say, and hang on the tree in memory of perhaps a veteran who has passed on. So we do appreciate the Twinsburg Education Association under the leadership of Nora Suter Riley, always great partners with the school district, and once again stepping forward on holiday weekend to make sure that our Tiger veterans are well cared for.
Thank you for the reminder, that visualization. They're actually building guard towers and sandbags in the Vietnam Village, and there will be materials available at the wall for those that want to do a rubbing of a name of a loved one or someone they want to honor.
Right, and one more thing. Heard yesterday that our varsity football team under leadership of Coach Mike Bell will be filling sandbags as part of the display. So the boys on our Tiger football team will be busy middle of June filling the sandbags on behalf of the school district and helping the veterans get things together. So thank you,
I
Coach
was asked
Bell.
about the rumor of wind sprints with the sandbags.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's true.
Okay,
Don't
thank
give them
you.
any ideas.
Yeah, don't give them any ideas.
Right.
I have to buy some mulch now.
The board does have need for an executive session this evening, so I will make the motion that the Board of Education enters into executive session at 8:09 p.m. to review negotiations with public employees as per Board of Education Policy 0160, paragraph E, and to discuss employment and compensation of public employees per the Board of Education Policy 0166A. Is there a second for this item, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Felber. The only thing to note is that there will be no action taken after this executive session. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stuver,
Yes.
Mr. Felber,
Yes.
Mrs. Davis,
Yes.
Mrs. Turner Waldron.
Yes.
Thank you to everybody for coming tonight. That motion passes 4-0. The board will now move to executive session.